of Freilich and Chanukah. This is Dirshu Mishnah Berurah as we continue learning Siman Ayin Vav, the halachos of Tsoya as it relates to Dvarim Shebikdusha. We just finished learning the halachos of Erva, and now we're in the midst of the halachos of Tsoya. And we said these are most commonly applicable to cases of dirty diapers, the cases of accidents, the cases of dog droppings, etc. And we already differentiated that there's numerous levels of the halacha. There's whether you could see the actual item, there is whether you could smell the actual item, and then there's the third level if the actual item is touching you. We already differentiated that when it comes to smelling, it has to do, one level is whether it's covered or not. When it comes to sight, as well, the same. We pick it up from Sif Dalit, and says the Mechaber, there's some saya on your body, but it is covered. As we flip over the page over here, continuing Siman Ayin Vav Sif Dalit. So the saya on one's body, but it is covered over bibigadav with his clothing. Or you stick your hand into the bathroom derechar via a hole in the bathroom, and you don't actually smell the bad smell. Yesh matirim likrais v'yesh aiser. Some say yes, some say no. That if there's actual tzay in your body, we are not making el b'makom she nichsa me'eleha beloy malbush unless it's covered by itself without clothing. Kigoin atzila yadav in your underarm, so it's covered by your body itself. V'nochan lasos giver machmer one should be machmer. Says the Ramah v'shechvazer al basarei dinoi ke. Which is going to be another common and classical application for a married man, that if after he has relations with his wife, he wants to say Shema. So maybe there's some shechva zera, there's some semen on his body. Now the question is he allowed to say Shema? Says the Ramah, as the same din as Tsoya. So let's dive in over here to the Mishnah Berurahs, beginning with Sivkot and Yod, in which the Mishnah Berurah comments on that if the Tsoya is covered over bibig gadav, and of course, we remind ourselves, these halachas are not as common nowadays due to the fact that number one, we have bathrooms, number two, we have toilets, number three, we have sinks with soap, etc. But says the Mishnah Berurah, let's say someone wipes himself, and Lamaisa is a little bit, it gets on his hands, he's yodam mitunafas mikinuach beisakise. If it doesn't actually have the actual tsaya, just dirty tsaya, and then it's just like some excessive sweat in your hand. You're allowed to say Shema even now covering it over. That's only if someone else. Misham lav kitzay adam. Aval gufa, but he himself. If your hands are dirty from sweat, from scratching your head, till you wash your hands. Or if you don't have water, as we've seen many times with the you always can suffice with wiping off your hands. So again, this could also be common on a child. Child's hands are dirty, etc. So if it's on someone else, as long as it's not actual mamashais of the tzaya, one is allowed to say Shema. When it comes to himself, he needs to wash his hands first. And then we said if his hand is stuck into the bathroom, sivkatin yudalef in a chard to the base akisi, hole into the bathroom. Ratzaleimer mechitza yesh beinoi lebeis akisi. There's a mechitza between himself and the bathroom. Bashi yadul of them in a mechitza, and he stuck his hand inside. If that's not the case, if that was not the case, that there is a separation. Again, Mishnah Berurah is explaining that the case is that there is a separation between himself and the bathroom. Why? Because if not, we already learned in Siman Pei Gimel. No, we did not already learn in Siman Pei Gimel, as we're learning Siman Ayin Vav. Pei Gimel is after Ayin Vav, We will learn in Siman Pei Gimel, you're not allowed to read Keneged Mechitzas Beisakis L'Chasoya Dami. There's the actual din of Tsoya. Matirin Sevkatin Yebezich Sev Kol Anasham Talaka. Dahainu Hapev Achoydim Bechlal Elu Avloy Shar Dvarim, that it's up to your mouth, your nose, and not the rest of the limbs of your body. So even if the other your hand is in the bathroom, your body is not, you're allowed to say Shema. Dafilo in Nikim Shari, it's allowed. Vayish Oisim one of the whole time with the Chsev Kol Atzmos Taman Hashem Ikamaycha. Kol Atzmos, say all my bones and limbs are praising Hashem. Bidin Shei Kulam Nikim. Upash, it says Mishnah the same thing if one of your limbs is within 4 amos of Tsoya. Gamkin also mitam zev. Imatzayi al begadav, there's Tsoya on a garment, and it's covered. Kulial Mashari. Your clothing should always be clean, and certainly when you daven. We said, what if it's covered by the body itself? Good, like your arms. Then it could help the kisui of a beged. Similarly, the piyat tabas is a similar area which is covered by the body itself, and then it's going to help with a kisui beged. So even if there is a little bit of tzaya there, one to not wipe perfectly well, as long as he's wearing a garment, it's going to be fine. Kedivri amachmer, one should be machmer sefkatin yodal. Beis adchak, in the case of shas adchak, yeshitz v'kedivri amatirim, shedavka ba'pev v'chaytim v'chal hilav lo shari varim. So important to know, if one's hands are dirty, there's no way to clean it, etc., etc., and he has to say Shema, as long as he doesn't smell something, as long as his mouth is clean, he's allowed to say Dvarim Shebek Kedusha. Dina Kitzaya Din Sivkatan Tazvav is talking about Shechva Zera, Rotza Loimer. Al Kain, therefore, Yesh La'achmer Vakshi El Basari Avshi Mechusa. He has to be machmer if there's a bit of Shechva Zera on the body, even though it's covered over. Kimay B'Tzaya Chanal, just like the din of Tzaya. Avkshi Abel Godavu Mechusa, if it's on his clothing and it's covered up, then Shari L'Kuliyam Knal B'Tzaya. The same thing with Saya. And some say no, they don't get Saya. You should clean off your garment if there's some shechvazer on the clothing. You should have the tuma on you. And certainly, they carry. Let's say someone had a nighttime emission and he was nichshalai they carry. Certainly, sheila mascaris aser that you're not having any remembrance of the isser on him. He should certainly change his clothing, etc. And we continue with Sif Hey. Says the Mechaber in Sif Hey. In this case, we mentioned in passing from the previous Sif. Because in the previous Sif, we spoke about if it's covered by the body itself. Now, but says the Mechaber, you should not have clicked off the share too early. If there's soy in the Peyat Abbas, it is not the same halacha as soy on the covered area of your body. I feel also likrais. Even if it's covered over, you're not allowed to read Shemal Divrei Kol. I feel like on the areas kishu I'm even here is kishu yoshev. Even if you cannot see it while you're standing, it can only be seen when you're sitting. Still, you're not allowed to say Shema. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sivkatan Tazayin, Soya Bepiyat Abbas. What is the reason that one would not say Bepiyat Abbas? Says the Mishnah Berurah Sheish Lo Chol At Choyrim, that one has a sickness, and there's often blood that comes out of him. And with the blood, the hemorrhoids that are coming out of him, there's also some foul smell. As long as this foul odor is coming out of him, he's not allowed to say Shema. Let's say he doesn't have a smell. Then we know it comes from the intestines. You can just wash it off. And one who has such a disease, often one elderly, sometimes people in a hospital, people that are catheterized, they have such situations, difficult halachos, and of course everyone would have to ask a competent halachic authority. And we continue with Sifkat in Yudzayin. The Mishmur says also, Lakers with the Evan Kara Kriyishma. You got to say it again. Many say you have to daven. Mishmur sounds like he's asking you have to, but we continue with Sifkat in Yudchas the Divrei Akol. Ratzalaimer. I feel the Divrei Amat your B'Sifta Al B'Ser Al B'Sazor Mechusa, as we explained. Even according to the opinion that it holds, if the sayah is in your body and covered over by your body, like we said, it's Yadov, you're allowed to say Shema Shani Acha when in the sayahs of Piyat Abbas the Mekaimah. Nofish zua matvei. Soya in its own place is more zuma, it's more smelly, it's more disgusting. Alkin, therefore, one should be careful, should always have himself clean, wash himself with water, should have anything left on him, and of course, in a world of hygiene, in a world of toilet paper and of tissues, etc., this is much easier. If you can never see it, then this is an important line. No one has to be crazy, no one has to become OCD and start wiping and cleaning themselves to the point that they bleed. If there's a dot of tzaya, that's not going to be a problem, because that is covered over always. We'll pick it up from Sivav B'Siyata Dishmaya in the next shir.